Next up, we have Mr. Praveen Shivatsa, Director Astra Soft Consulting, and Mr. Subhash Singh Punjabi, AVP Group Head IT and Systems at Naprod Life Sciences, Vice President, CIO Association, India's largest association of Chief Information Officers, for an interesting lightning talk on deriving intelligence at the edge, industry perspective. Let's welcome them.
Hi Subhash and welcome to this session. As part of this session, we are talking about how the new capabilities in computing is driving innovation. Today, our cell phones have more compute power than what we had as part of desktops a few decades ago. With the whole capability in both the public and the private cloud being available to us, it's driving a whole new thought process which includes AI, ML, digital transformation, as well as large amount of compute facilities. So in your opinion and experience, how do you see all of these hybrid cloud capabilities driving innovation?
So, good afternoon. When we talk about digital transformation, as you rightly said, first thing is your compute, and the other thing is we need various data infrastructure, servers, compute power at the earliest. So, if we say that in the early stage, what we said is that we had our own infrastructure. So, it takes its own time. Suppose we want to do something. So, we have to have our own server first. We have to set up that server. Then we have to do the whatsoever we want to check, that POC we have to do. Because digital transformation is a journey. It is not a direct type of project. But when we do something, there are various new things come up from the business side. In manufacturing, what happens, sir? Various people, when we are saying we are an IT arm from them, we are the enabler, correct? So there are the subject matter experts with their in the manufacturing way. So what happens when we do something with that? If we have got our own, like erstwhile we are saying, if we have got our own server, then we can't give that type of power to it. But with this, we can say thanks to the cloud, when we say, because whatsoever we need, we can take that type of power, that type of compute power, RAM, or whatsoever is required from a vendor. And also, it can be burst. That is the best part of it. Another best part is we can get that at the earliest. Third major and the most important part for any manufacturing industry, which is manufacturing. So there is every time there is something called ROI, and which is very difficult for any IT person to convince them. So here what happens, if you want to try out something, where digital transformation, everything is try out. When you say innovation, it is try out. We can't say that you will get this thing. And there are some intent, but that intent, getting that intent takes some time. So what happens? For that, what we can do is that we can take any type of hardware, infrastructure, platform, software on cloud for that particular period. We can test it. So we can test multiple things at very low cost. And for us, like we, as an IT person, as an IT leader here, it has become very easy for me to get sanctioned for that. Because I am saying in this small amount, I am trying this. So it's easy for me, and for organization, at very cheap cost, we can say we can do the trials. And once it is success, we can add it. So whatsoever is required, we can add. That is the power of your cloud or computing, or we can say the hybrid thing. Because there are the data available at our place. So hybrid is required, because this data has to talk to that. But when we say something we want to do on the our manufacturing side, so shop floor comes into picture. Shop floor data is always at our place. We can't directly stream in on the cloud very easily. So there has to be something which is there at our premise, and that data has to be cleansed and go there using various other, we can say, the softwares. So this way we have managed, and what we have seen is that this is the only thing by which we can achieve digital transformation, and we can have a small projects to it. And because as I say, digital transformation is not a straightforward. It is not a project, but it is, we can say, the ongoing thing.
Right.
It's a journey, and then we can get small things. And once we reach somewhere, something new has come up, because it's IT. Every day something new is coming. If suppose somebody has started digital transformation journey maybe 3 years back, then also the journey continues because some new things has came up. So that's the thing what I have seen here. And on the same way we have worked here. And practically we have worked in the same way.
So that is so true in terms of what you said, sir. So what happens is, like you said before, if I have to try something out, not only as a customer, but even as a vendor who provides different offerings, if you have to try out something, the time taken and the effort taken to try out new things was significantly heavy. Now, with the whole cloud container kind of a capability, we can try out things easily on a subscription basis. We can quickly commission, provision, VMware workloads, container workloads, etc. Quickly try out stuff, get comfortable with it, and we can do a whole bunch of these even well before taking the decision of the route that we are going down through. Right. So this leads to a lot of innovation. Any new idea that we want to try out, it makes it very easy to try things out, leading to a very agile and very fast-moving kind of a process as part of our innovation process. But even as we are innovating, we still have our traditional workloads. We still have our data warehouses, our ERPs, our legacy applications, and stuff. So how do you see the digital transformation journey as related to our traditional workloads that large enterprises and manufacturing companies have?
Sir, it will be there. It will be
Right.
always hybrid. Nobody can go directly 100% on cloud. That is the thing.
Correct.
Another thing, another very important thing I think I have to say here is that there is not one cloud, there is always a multi cloud. Because when we say that we want to do something, I'm talking about the large organization and I'm talking about the vision. Correct? So what happened? There are now whatsoever we take as of now, the way is everything is on cloud now. New things you are getting only on subscription basis on cloud. Now you talk about ERP. But sir, please note that earlier old companies who are the old organization, big organization, they have got their ERPs on premise. But now all these new organization, they are going directly on cloud. Also, if you see that there are various things, the statistics says, if you talk about the SAP, which is the highest share in the ERP, SAP, various organization has got on premise, but once they say that they want to upgrade it to S4 HANA, which is a major chunk of change. So normally they have to totally do revamp of it. Normally they are going for a cloud. So ERP also people are going on cloud. Only what change is there, I will say you that there are the softwares which are public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud, whatsoever you say. And then there is a new term is multi-cloud. We have something on Azure, we have something on Amazon, we have something on Google, correct? And then for a person, maybe the business leader or IT leader, what they need, they have to have all these transparency under one particular dashboard. So that only comes to your multi-cloud management. Otherwise, we couldn't do. Correct. So even if you say that ERP, so I will reply to your question also that if we have got something and there are the large organizations, they have got their on-premise ERP and they are hesitant to put that on cloud. That is also true. But now the ratio has come down. Earlier it was more hesitance. Okay.
True.
But now, reply to your question that suppose it is we have got ERP on premise and we have to have some data, maybe the new thing AI, ML, then your analytics, correct? Then RPA. These things we have to consume from cloud because it is more efficient now. We don't have to put everything here now. So there is an intermediary we have to put. IoT in the manufacturing IoT is very important. So if it is an IoT, industrial IoT, that data, whatsoever is coming up, it is going on cloud with a intermediary storage at our place, at any place. It goes and sync to the cloud. From cloud, it sync to your cloud, it sync to your ERP, and it gives you a result. Believe me, all these things happening in some fraction of seconds, which is a seal. So that time has gone now. That time has gone when we say there is no bandwidth issue or this thing. It is not there now. Earlier, what happens, sir, I am of that era when our industries are at the place where we don't get the internet also. Because industry zone. But nowadays it is not like that. Even if in the industry zone out of the city area, we are getting a good connectivity there. There are the vendors available. So what happens is that that data going and getting accumulated there, and then it gets connected to your ERP on premise, and it fetches the result to you again. It That's the way we have to work. So there are, like
Got it.
our earlier organization, we are running our SAP on premise. But these are the things what we have done for the ML. We have done there one project where the data was going up with this, with totally sensors. That data is going up, getting the we can see the only the required data gets stabilized there when we see the your BI tool totally, and that data exceptions data goes to my ERP, and we are getting the result. So it's
Got
a
it.
clear doable, it's a clearly doable, and we have to do. But the way forward, if you ask me, various things are shifting on the cloud. Now
Right.
today, whatever is there, because various people, the large organization, they are already invested in the data center. So they are hesitant now to put everything directly on cloud. But there is a
Right.
one use case. What you have asked, if you talk about the mainly the auto component, they have
Mhm.
got R&D, and when that R&D,
Okay.
there what happened, the file size, because it's a totally graphics, that file size are too big. So that data they are not putting on cloud.
Got
Till
it.
time they are not putting on cloud. But then the metadata of that particular all R&D data goes on cloud, and there all their competition happens, and we get the result, how it is working or what are the parameters of that particular product. I am into mainly into the die casting at that time. So what that die casting is there, what that casting is showing, what are the parameters, what are the environmental things are there into it, and everything we used to get. Only that metadata goes out upstream on the cloud, get crunched
Got
there,
it.
and get the result. So that is the
So
way
I
it
guess,
happens.
right. So I guess in a sense, it's not about, whether you want to go to the cloud or not. It's more about what is the right information you take to the cloud, what is the right
Yes,
information you keep
yes,
local, and so on. Right.
correct.
So it's more about, what is the correct way to do. For example, I'm working with a customer who has a hospital ERP, and what they do is they've built a collaboration system in the cloud, but their ERP system continues to remain on their
On
premises.
premise. Yeah, yeah, it is possible.
Right.
It is possible.
Right, so they do all the interaction with the vendors, all the purchase order details, etc., in the cloud. But once the order is actually frozen and asset management, they bring it
Yes.
down and manage it locally. Right.
And
So,
it comes automatically. It comes automatically
correct.
through your alert system.
Correct.
So
Right.
that's why
So that brings me to another interesting question. So the challenge that we have in the new world is all about managing this kind of a data. We've got different kinds of data. Like you mentioned, some IoT data, etc., will be large. We have research data. We have proprietary data. We have transactional data, which we are okay where it is. We have backup data, and our data is growing exponentially. So how do you see the whole data management playing out as part of the new ecosystem?
first thing is that, sir, now also data management is a difficult task as of now also.
Right, right,
But what happens is that, or we can see how we are managed. Because I have seen all the era where we are taking backup in the tapes. That tapes was also a limited size. Now we are talking
correct,
about multiple TVs and all that thing. But when we are taking that, how we are moving that, because there are the laws. Because we are also ISO 27001 at that time. So what we have to do is that we have to keep aside one copy, offshore and all that thing. So various things we are maintaining. Then
right,
we have shifted to a, we can say the your disk to disk backup, which has given the tremendous benefit to us because whatsoever data is there, it is getting backed up at our
right.
own location. I will go one by one at our own location, but it is disk to disk, correct? And then we
Good.
say DDT, disk to disk, and one tape we have to take, and that tape we have to move to the shop offshore because
Right.
that is the place for even DR purpose. If something happens, so
Disaster recovery, right,
how your business continuity is there. So that we
right,
have done. Correct. That I'm talking about one type of thing. Then what we have done, because that is not again the pain was there. That whatsoever data is there in the tape we have to take, and then there we have to move from one place to another. Correct. And again there is a law that it should be 200 kilometer away, and all that things are all things are there.
right,
So now coming up, now there are the things we have to do like this to this at our location, and another copy has to be on cloud. The simplest way of doing that. And it
okay,
happens very easily. It happens very easily because there are the internet available. So that
Mhm.
backup should be at the third copy should be outside directly.
Right.
So you will get various benefits from that. First thing is that the your cloud vendors, correct? They have got various facilities in place. If that facility, if we try to do for us, it is too costly.
Right.
But what they do is that they can do it and they can share that expenses with the multiple vendors. Now
Got
our backup is there. Another benefit is that if we have got our particular data center in suppose in the Maharashtra, and if you want something in Bangalore, it is available. And
Right.
pushing your data from maybe from Bombay to to Pune or Bombay to in Bombay somewhere in the New Bombay or Bombay
Very
to
easy.
Bangalore. Both things are same. Means as per the data, because of the internet link, both things are same. Even if you are
Correct.
sending the data from maybe to Andheri to Sion in Bombay or Bombay to Bangalore, both are same. And
Correct.
the other thing is that there is no much cost difference.
Right.
So we can take backup there, and our total thing is in place. So nothing is available, nothing is required for that. Earlier we
Right.
used to have our hot DR at different locations. We have to have a space there. We have to keep everything there. Now these are the things are there are the DR as a service available where all this data is going on, and
Right.
you can start your system anytime. Another basic, the very good thing of DR as a service is that whenever you say that we want to use that DR, at that time they will charge.
Correct.
Otherwise, first well, what I used to happen is that we have to have that step by step there. We have to
Right.
manage that place. All environmental things we have to manage of that, and then we are using that maybe once in a while. If something happens, it is
Right.
just as insurance for us. But that is also very important. So when we talk about backups and all, because the main purpose is of your availability. Why we are taking backup? It's availability.
True.
And what we
True.
have seen, if we put take in a tape, when we require at the time we come to know that tape is of maybe it is LTO 4, LTO 5, now it is LTO 7, we don't have. These are the challenges earlier used to have. Now this we have gone it. There is nothing back. Also tape has got expiry. That also we have to see. It has got some
Right.
expiry. So that everything has gone back. Now everything if you have got because now once earlier, like maybe around 8 to 10 years back, when cloud started, people were very much hesitant about it. कि नहीं कुछ हो जाएगा
Correct.
data किधर है data नहीं है I don't know where is the data. Now nobody care about it because they have got a SLA. There are the very good cloud vendors who gives a proper SLA to you. That's all, and it happens.
Right. So I think what the cloud has done is it's removed all the friction. Just like our mobile applications have made it seamless connectivity. We now do our digital payments on UPI, verification using Aadhaar, and so on and so forth. It just makes the process so much more easier. Very similarly, what the cloud has done is it's removed all the friction to make us so much more agile and flexible in terms of doing things that we are committed to do. Right? And that gives us so much more time in terms of thinking through more innovative ideas and thoughts
Correct,
in terms
correct,
of
correct.
what we could deploy. Right? But I guess the challenge that it also brings is the quick thought process from a security perspective. This is, historically it's very true. The moment we put money in the bank in olden days, my grandfather used to be very worried that the bank is not safe. But then we realized historically it probably is more safe than keeping the money at home. Right? But at the same time, we lived with both. It's not that we kept all the money in the bank, and it's not that we kept all the money with us. Right? So, from a security perspective, how's your thought process in terms of working with this hybrid environment where our data is spread across everywhere? At the same time, it needs to be secure.
When I have done this, particularly 5 years back, I moved my data center. We have started our own ECP S4HANA on cloud 5 years back.
Mhm.
At that time, I have convinced my management, at that time I have done the various studies. By the way, I am ISO 27,000 lead auditor. I have done CISA. So in security, I have done various things. So what happens
Okay.
is that if you talk about security and if we say that security is not there on cloud or if we are keeping with us, the data is secured, so that is a myth. Even if you have got data with you, how you are saying it is secure?
True.
So nothing like that, that you have got data in your premise is secured and data is somewhere else is not secure. If data is there, so it is equally insecure at your location, equally insecure at outside. I can say this statement. Okay. Now what happens is that suppose if we say that data is there at your location, and because what is the chain? Who requires the data? Mainly who's doing this particular thing, where it is happening. If you go into that or any incidents you talk about security, majorly you can say about 90% is internal issue. Normally it's an
Correct.
internal issue, 90%.
Right.
Correct. Then comes your other things like external people are coming and doing that things, maybe ransomware and all that things. Correct. All that things are available. I'm not saying no. But if you see for organizations, it is 90% internal and 10% outside. But internal doesn't come out. Internal doesn't come out. Internal people are doing the things, it doesn't come out. When ransomware attack happens from outside, everybody says, "Bahar se kuch hua." But
Right.
internal is a major thing. Again, in that 90%, and there is a statistic, in that 90%, the purposefully doing employee or internal guy is just 1%.
Correct.
Or less than 1%. Less than 1 purposefully doing. Correct. There is 90% threat, but purposefully doing is just 1% or less than 1%. But unknowingly doing thing is very high. What happens is that, sir, awareness. Our team or our total organization team is not aware about the thing.
True.
They don't know the data, or they don't know the importance of data. They don't know the security or confidentiality of that data. That is the place. Means if I don't know that my ATM pin is important or secured, I don't have to do that pin. I will give to everyone because it's my own money. It's my own.
Correct.
I know. I got aware of it. Correct. Similarly, if you do proper awareness to total employee, so that data may be anywhere, doesn't have any issue. That is the first thing. There are two, three things. Other thing is very important is your process, policy, and procedures. If it is in place, what you are doing, then I think the security incidents will be totally reduced.
Right.
I'm not saying zero. There is nothing called 100% secure. Nothing.
Correct.
Nobody can guarantee. Okay. And again, I'm saying equal security risk is there in house or outside.
Right.
Correct. But the next statement is more important that anybody will okay or there will be a person who will directly say opposed to me is not correct. I'm saying very blunt statement. Normally, company like we can say around 5,000, 6,000 crore company, correct? Up to that, maybe around 10,000 crore. I'm saying about that is different. Up to 10,000 crore company, security in cloud is better than security in office in premise. Reason. There are very good security tools available. All tools are at some cost. We can't purchase multiple tools as a
Right.
company, correct? Then परचेसिंग ऑल्सो ओके चलो आई हैव टेकन वो बजट मिल गया आप लोग को आपने सारा 2 करोड़ 5 करोड़ सिक्योरिटी में डाल दिया बट इज इट दैट नो वी हैव टू सी दैट वी हैव टू ऑब्जर्व दैट वी हैव टू मॉनिटर दैट उतना किसके पास बैंडविड्थ है सो दिस थिंग इफ वी आर डूइंग आवरसेल्फ इज नॉट दैट गुड और दैट एफिशिएंट देन डूइंग बाय द एक्सपर्ट because again
Very
what
true.
happens in a manufacturing company, I told you manufacturing is not an IT company, okay? In a manufacturing company, IT is an enabler. It is a one of the
Right.
department. And main business is your own business. You have to earn money there, correct?
Correct.
They have to work on that. Now they are working on that and we are bothering them. We are saying that we want a 10% here for doing the security thing. It will not come. We can have
Correct.
one or two or three guys to coordinate with them. So there is a human, we are saying about the employee, and another I am saying the multiple tools. And there are for security, we need a multiple tools. Only one tool will not work. No
True.
tool will work. So if it is on secure on your cloud, and if you are managing properly, if you are seeing properly to it, then your various things are getting shifted there. You have to just monitor the various things, what you want on that type of dashboard you have to take. So, and then we have to work on that, how it is happening, what are the incidents, is there anything is coming up, and then you can master on it. If you have got your own thing, then what will happen? You have to just do the it's working or not. People who are having their own data center, so there the IT team major time is going on keeping lights on. Earlier we used to
Correct.
use that word. जस्ट चल रहा है ना हाँ चल रहा है उसके लिए पूरा टाइम जा रहा है नो बडी इज इनोवेटिंग Now
So
it's
I guess
true
the
that now,
return on investment is not justified, right? If you're trying to do a lot of things by yourself, especially like you rightly said in the manufacturing
correct,
industry, the focus is on manufacturing. So there really is
correct,
no ROI in terms of trying to do a lot of stuff here, right?
correct.
Interestingly enough, I sometimes talk to teams and tell them the biggest threat to IT security is ticket notes. People write their password and stick it somewhere rather than actually the IT part of it, right?
Correct, correct, correct.
So those are the challenges that we face. So any quick last advice from you in terms of, as people are going across this digital transformation journey, any quick advice in terms of, what are the things they should look forward to and how they should plan their journey?
So, sir, what I feel here is that anybody wants to go for digital transformation, first thing they have to jot down the plan.
Right.
And in that plan, they should have, and it should be very much clear and explained to the management. It is not a thing that which will give you result immediately. We
Right.
have to say it's a journey. If you put seeds now, you can get that fruits after 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. So
Very
you have to
true.
put the seeds now, correct? And then whatsoever you are putting now, with that you can see the fruits maybe after a year. अरे एक आ गया, दो आ गए, धीरे धीरे धीरे. But if you say that if I have given 1 crore of rupees and whatsoever I have seen is just a 1 lakh or 2 lakh or 5 lakh, it will happen like that only. But then
Correct.
going forward after 5 years or 6 years, you say that now you are at a stage in the market. And another thing, you are just asking, so another statement I am using is that maybe as of now people are saying कि digital transformation is something new we are doing. Similarly, earlier people used to say कि computerization कर दिया, ERP कर दिया, कुछ नया किया. Correct? Nowadays
Right.
ERP computerization चलता लगता ही है. Without that you couldn't function your business.
Correct.
Similarly, when we are saying digital transformation, so there are the projects into it. Maybe after 5 years, people will say, कि without that we couldn't function.
Very true.
Like in
Very true.
pandemic, people have seen that the people who doesn't have a proper IT systems in place, they have literally gone down in the pandemic. Whereas the
True.
people who are having the proper things in place, immediately there are the hiccups, but they have started working from home. And we
True.
have seen that there are no major hiccup because of IT or because of the
Got it.
system. Because of the system. If they have got some orders, they have executed order from home. And from
True.
home means total team is at different locations. No, no, and in first wave, you might have seen first wave near about 4 5 months. A person couldn't see to other person physically. They can't see
Right.
team member
Right.
name. But then also they have functioned their business only because of IT. So we have to say that only IT has made them survive. So it is a survival. Similarly, maybe after 5 years or you take after 10 years, when we are saying digital transformation, we are saying small project IoT, we are saying RPA, we are saying ML, we are saying AI. This will be a survival. This will not be a not really will be a your listing. But if you don't do now, then at that time you couldn't do.
Correct.
Because however, you couldn't do at that time. Because if you have started there at that time, you can't reach to that particular place. You can't
True.
get your competitive advantage. And nowadays, you know that we have learned various stories, right? We have learned stories about Nokia, BlackBerry. In everywhere, we are talking about that. So I will
Right.
not waste into time. Why they have gone? Or Kodak, why they have gone? Because they have not changed their set. So
Got
now
it.
people has to invest in digital transformation.
Right. So I think you explained it very nicely, saying that the cloud gives us the ability to try out new things, but it also means that we have to put a plan, try these out, and embark on this journey, so that down the road, a few years down the road, we actually will be a much better, more resilient company who can probably scale, 10x more, 20x more kind of a stuff,
Correct.
because this gives the whole IT infrastructure gives a good foundation for us to now, build a much bigger company. Right?
Correct.
So I think that perspective was very interesting and good. Right?
Also,
Uh,
one more thing which is very important. So I am saying here, whenever we
mhm.
are driving, so it's a suggestion. What you say, advice to the younger generation. Is I am not that I can advise, but then also if you are asked, so I am saying suggestion. It's not advice. That whenever you take digital transformation project, anybody, so IT should be a enabler type, and leader should be the actual your owner. Like if you
Got
talk,
it.
you are doing something to the shop floor. Shop floor head should be the leader of that project. प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजर वो है, हम लोग उनके सेवक हैं. Then you can go ahead because they have got their business. They know the business very well. We know the technology. They know the business.
So thank you, Subhash. I think your perspective was very interesting. Like you rightly said, all the digital transformation is something that has to be driven by the actual users, right? In a hospital, it has to be driven by the doctors. In manufacturing, it has to be driven by the shop floor, and it should not become an IT exercise. So I think that's a very good perspective. Right? So thank you for your insights, and thank you for this wonderful session.
Thank you, Mr. Praveen and Mr. Subhash, for the valuable insights. Before we move forward, I request you to please participate in the exciting poll challenge.